All right, listen up. In content creation, there are two things guaranteed to keep you stuck and kill your creative process. So, what exactly are they and how do we avoid them? Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, I'm Soldier. I make content around gaming, streaming, and the technical aspects of content creation. And I admit, I am pretty new to this content creation thing. And this is something that I think you'll run into if you're new to content creation, or maybe even if you've been doing it for years. These two things are guaranteed to keep you stuck. Because listen, when it comes to content creation, there is no magical key to this. There is no easy button. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of trial and error. There's basically no replacement for hard work. So what are these things that can kill your creative process and stop you when it comes to content creation? Put simply, it's overthinking and perfectionism. I don't think you're hurting for ideas per se, because there's so much around us that gives us great ideas for our content. But I do think that the cycle kind of goes like this, at least it has for me. I've got a ton of ideas, then I get stuck because I've got so many ideas. You've probably heard the term analysis paralysis. And then since I get indecisive on what to work on first, and I'm kind of in this paralyzed state, I've got even more guilt and stress that I'm not doing enough. But then once I finally get a project done, I'm way too critical of that project and how it was created, and I get down on myself that I didn't do it better. Then I've got this lull in creativity and down on myself for a little bit. And then once I muster up the willpower to keep going, I get a wave of creative ideas again, but then I'm back to square one and analysis paralysis and everything else. So the first thing I really want us to try to get over is the overthinking. How do we avoid overthinking, or at least get better about it? And I think the first thing is to, I know this is gonna sound dumb, stop thinking and start doing. I think you can talk yourself into and out of basically anything. And a surefire way to talk yourself into something is to stop talking altogether and just start doing. Listen, if you give yourself enough time, you will find every reason not to do something. And for me, in my experience, the times I've been more successful with overcoming overthinking is when I just stop thinking so much and I just go for it. Speaking of going for it, when you do have the 10 ideas on the table and your mind is racing about all 10 things at the same time, it can be kind of difficult which one to prioritize and which one to go for first. And you kind of get overwhelmed. You kind of overwhelm yourself. Pick one and go. As simple as that sounds, it's kind of empowering when you can just pick one, make it happen, and then you kind of like start this domino effect where you just start rolling with your content, because as soon as you get one under your belt and done, you are set up for success to start rolling with the rest of your ideas, which comes to my third point when we're talking about overcoming overthinking, and that simply is to get it out on paper. Whatever you got in your mind, don't let it stay there. You're gonna lose those thoughts. You're gonna come back to that and try to replan again, and you're gonna be like, man, I might have forgotten something. I think I missed something. This wasn't exactly the idea I had before. Darn, I wish I would have gotten it out of my brain and onto something so where I can see it. There's something about writing things down that help us to really understand what we're thinking, what we're trying to create. I know you might not use a pen and paper anymore, but I would kind of recommend it. There's something about writing with a pen and paper that really helps to make it plain for you. So I would just recommend get it out on paper, get it out on a whiteboard, put it in your notes app, do something to where it's out of your brain, on a list, on a piece of paper, on something in front of you that you can stand back and look at it and be like, is this gonna work for what I want to do, or should I scrap this? That way when it's out of your brain, it's not stuck there. All right, so now let's talk about perfectionism. How do we overcome perfectionism? I think the very first thing we need to do is just stop comparing ourselves with every other content creator out there. It is so easy to look at some of our favorite content creators, some of our favorite artists, photographers, makeup artists, YouTubers, and look at them and say, oh my gosh, I want to be just like them. Wow. Look at the quality of their content that they're producing, mine's gotta be right up there with them. And when it's not, which inevitably it will not be, especially if you're starting out, some of your stuff's just gonna suck. When it's not, we can easily get down about what we are doing. The problem with comparison is that we're all on a separate journey. We all have different things that we're bringing to the table. And your specific brand and content is not gonna look exactly like everybody else's. Yes, you're gonna take inspiration from other people. You're gonna take ideas and then craft your own around that. You're gonna use things as templates, and that'll propel you forward. It'll kind of give you a guide to move forward in content creation, but that's not the end of it. And you're not supposed to be a carbon copy of anyone else. Also, people you're looking at and comparing your work to, probably been doing this for years and years and years. If you look at some of the first content they created, it probably sucked. And the quality was nowhere near what it is today. So remember that when you're looking at others, you're kind of seeing different steps along their journey. They're at a different place than you are right now. And the moment you can kind of bring yourself back from comparing yourself to them, you can kind of free yourself up to be you and create your brand, create your content in the way that you really are passionate about, in the way that you really want to. Second thing, I think when it comes to perfectionism, all you perfectionists out there, is to temper those expectations. There's this thing in content creation where you think if you just get the one blog that just becomes a hit, that one photo that just captures absolutely everybody's attention, that one video that blows up, then it's gonna start rolling. And for some reason we think it's gonna be one of the first 5 videos we make, or one of the first 5 blogs that we create, and it's never really like that. The people who have blown up and who have a great following have put in the work, have put in the time, and have been consistent with what they're doing. And it probably wasn't just one thing that blew up and made them what they are today. It was still a journey. It was still something that they had to put the work in. And I think there's something with these tempering expectations that can be really good as well. And that is not creating content for the purpose of getting attention, because you'll always be disappointed. It'll never be enough attention. And when it's not living up to the expectations of attention that you thought you would be getting at this point, you get depressed and you get down. Actually, Joseph Gordon-Levitt did a TED Talk on getting attention versus paying attention. And I think it's incredible, and I recommend you watch it. I'm gonna link it down in the description below. But let's temper our expectations and focus on paying attention to our craft and what we're passionate about creating, instead of what the reaction will be from everyone around us. Just make the content, go for it, and whatever the outcome is, let that be. Just keep doing your thing. The last thing I think with overcoming perfectionism is to make the best of it. We always have this thing of, let's make it the absolute best we can. And I think that sometimes you just can't do that. You're limited in so many ways. So, you don't have a YouTube studio, you don't have the great equipment, you don't have the experience of others. And so since you're limited in so many ways, you really just have to use what you have. Even if it's a tiny bit, like me recording right now on my phone in my office, because I can't really find a good spot at home to do it. Got 3 kids, they're noisy all the time. It's always messy, it's hard to find the right lighting. All these sorts of roadblocks that I've got, and yet I'm just trying to make the best of it. Trying to make content that is helpful, is valuable to the people that might subscribe to me. It's what I'm passionate about. It might not necessarily be the best right now. Don't try to make it the best. Just make the best of it. Whatever you've got in front of you, use it. I just read a quote today, actually, in an email that says the happiest people on earth are not the people who have the best of everything, but it's the people who make the best of everything they have. So in conclusion, guys, these have been my 2 biggest enemies when it comes to content creation. I think there's a plethora of tools out there that we can use for our content creation. There's a ton of inspiration that we can find for our content creation, but sometimes we are the biggest roadblock to our own creativity and to our own content being successful. So I hope these things are helpful and valuable to you at some level, no matter if you're new to content creation like I am, or you've been doing this for years and you do find yourself in that cycle where you end up stuck from time to time because of that overthinking and because of that aiming for perfection that you never quite hit. So this is for all of my fellow content creators out there. Let's just go for it. Let's make the best of it, and let's not let overthinking and perfectionism stop us any longer. Once again, I'm Soldier. Hope you found some value in this and that you are continually successful in your content creation journey that we are all on together. I hope to catch you in the next one.